to this deep dive from the digital library of Designing the Future University, Rethinking the Higher Education Business Model, a Strategic Playbook for University Leaders, authored by Dr. Ghazwan Hassna. I am honored to welcome the author and highly respected higher education strategist, Dr. Ghazwan Hassna.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and this is a critical conversation for the sector.
Absolutely. In this deep dive, we explore how universities can utilize the Higher Education Business Model Innovation Compass. Now, this is a practical, integrative framework designed specifically, as you say, for university leaders, boards, and policymakers to, navigate the sector's growing complexity. You position this compass as the culminating strategic resource in your playbook. Why bring everything together into this single tool, particularly for that executive audience?
Well, because complexity is really the enemy of clear decision-making right now. Leaders are frankly overwhelmed. The compass is designed as an executive tool. Its main job is to cut through the noise, provide clarity, orientation, and strategic direction. It pulls together all the core frameworks from the playbook into one actionable guide so leaders can move much faster from here is the problem into here is a targeted way forward.
That idea of synthesis and speed, that really resonates because leaders aren't facing just one issue, are they? It's this convergence.
Exactly. It's a convergence.
So what are those core strategic elements that the compass actually weaves together to give that comprehensive view?
The compass integrates four essential analytical strands. First, you have the 8 systemic challenges facing higher education today. These are the big, persistent pressures most nonprofits face. Things like rising costs, demographic shifts, declining enrollment, the headwinds everyone feels.
Right.
Second, we layered in the core business model foundations. These are the absolute basics: your mission, value proposition, revenue streams, key activities, essentially how the university creates, delivers, and capture value, like the fundamentals.
Okay, the building blocks. And the third strand, that introduces your specific diagnostic tool, the Impact Business Model Canvas, the IBMC. Now, many listeners might know the standard business model canvas. How does your impact version, with its 3 layers, differ? What are those layers?
Oh, yeah, that's a crucial distinction. Yes, the third strand is the 3-layer impact business model canvas, IBMC. And that's a great question, by the way, because many listeners may be familiar with the standard business model canvas, and some may also know the impact business model canvas developed at Stanford,
right,
which adopts the tool for nonprofit organizations balancing financial and social value.
Right.
So my work builds on this foundation, but it takes it further, especially for higher education, by breaking the model into 3 logical layers and then linking those layers to actionable strategic pathways. And that's the biggest contribution of my book and framework.
Right.
So the first layer is the impact-oriented core, or the why. This is the heart of your institution, defining the problem you address, your core purpose, and how you serve. This layer is fundamental because it governs all other decisions, and it answers the question, what problem do we solve, why do we exist, and for whom? It focuses on the unique benefits that we provide to our stakeholders and the broader community that we serve, moving, for example, beyond simply offering a degree into delivering a transformational experience and societal value, for example.
Right.
The second layer is the operational core, the how. This layer describes how your institution functions on a daily basis to deliver on its mission. It's the engine that makes your value proposition possible. It answers the question, how do we do what we do? It includes everything from our teaching methods and curriculum design and development to our physical and intellectual assets, our network of collaborators, and the way we connect to our stakeholders.
Right.
The third and last layer is the financial and impact structure core, the what and for whom. This layer outlines your economic engine and how you measure the success of your mission. It links financial sustainability directly to your impact. It answers the question, what do we gain and what does it cost? It focuses on how we generate funding and manage our expenses. So crucially, it also includes the metrics we use to prove our social and educational impact, ensuring that financial decisions are always aligned with our mission. By separating the model into these 3 layers, leaders can finally see where misalignments happen. For example, when financial decisions drift away from mission, or when operations are strong but not translating into real impact. And this structure is what enables the compass to connect challenges like declining enrollment or rising costs to specific mission-aligned strategic pathways. It's not just a diagnostic tool, it's a bridge from analysis to action. And that's the biggest contribution of the compass framework.
So you're really saying that true institutional health, true resilience, means integrating that mission success, the social and environmental, directly into how you define financial success.
Exactly. Too often we treat financial health and mission impact as separable conversations, almost like two ledgers that never touch. But in reality, they are inseparable. An institution can be considered healthy if it's financially stable but failing its students or society. At the same time, a university that's deeply impactful but can't sustain its operations will eventually collapse and stop serving anyone. So true resilience is about integration. It's when your revenue model, your cost structure, and your investments are designed to reinforce your mission, whether that's widening access, improving student success, or contributing to the local community. That's why in the Compass tool, we don't just measure financial outcomes in isolation. We measure them alongside the social and educational outcomes they are meant to support. It's that alignment that creates a sustainable model, not just one that survives year to year, but one that grows and provide impact over time.
Makes sense. And the fourth strand?
The fourth strand is really about translation into action. Once leaders understand the fundamentals, the challenges, and the as-is of their business model, they need to see what the future look like in practice. That's where emerging business models come in.
Right.
I describe them as archetypes. Things like, for example, the workforce integrator or the global platform, that gives institution a kind of design palettes. They are not prescriptions for sure, but they help leaders see tangible pathways for transformation. So instead of tweaking around the edges, these models offer a vision of how the entire institution could reimagine its role, its value, its relationship with students or with the society or maybe with other kind of stakeholders.
Right.
In other words, the fourth strand takes the compass off the page and puts it into motion. It shows that the real alternatives exist and that change at the business model level is not only possible, but already beginning to happen.
Okay, so the real power here isn't just listing these four things, it's how they connect. How does the compass make those links explicit for a leader who needs, immediate guidance on where to focus?
It creates a very intentional navigational flow. We start with a systemic challenge, say financial strain from declining enrollments. The compass then links that challenge directly to the three layers IBMC blocks that are most under pressure, whether that's value proposition, stakeholder segments, revenue streams, or maybe key partners. But the compass doesn't stop at this point. The real power is that it then connects those vulnerable blocks to specific emerging higher education business models that offer viable strategies. For example, a declining in enrollment might map to models like the lifelong learning or maybe the workforce integrator, or maybe to, let's say, the global platform, which directly reimagine revenue streams and expand who you serve. So instead of leaving leaders with an abstract problem, the compass moves them step by step from recognizing the challenge to identifying where the model needs to shift to seeing concrete pathways forward. It's designed to give immediate clarity and direction in situations where hesitation can be really costly.
That speed from diagnosis to pathway seems critical today. Your playbook really emphasizes the risk of inaction. If a university leadership team, maybe puts off addressing these business model vulnerabilities, what are the most severe high-impact failure scenarios you see playing out?
The risk of just maintaining the status quo is frankly institutional decay. It might be slow or it might be rapidly accelerated by some external shocks.
Right.
Let's take three examples that represent real existential threats. First, consider rising institutional costs and student debt. In that dynamic, if costs keep spiraling upwards and tuition dependence remains high, the institution becomes less and less accessible. The long-term scenario is that it risks becoming a luxury good affordable only for the wealthiest.
Losing its public purpose?
Completely losing its broad social and economic relevance. That's a permanent brand damage. You shift from being seen as a public good to an elite high-cost enclave.
Right.
And that fundamentally undermines the mission, the value proposition you claim to offer. It hits the economic and social layer of your business model very hard.
A stark warning. What about technology? You mentioned AI.
Yes, the second major threat area is technological innovations, and generative AI is the biggest one right now. The risk here isn't just like, students cheating on essays. That's tactical.
Right.
The long term strategic risk is obsolescence. If a university fails to quickly and deeply embed AI literacy, critical application, and how to leverage this technology across the curriculum, then employers will start questioning the value of the graduates. Is this degree still relevant? The institution's reputation for academic rigor, for preparing students for the future, gets permanently damaged. Its core product, the educated graduate, is seen as, well, potentially outdated. That strikes the key activities and your intended impact as well.
And the third, the financial bedrock. We hear so much about demographic cliffs. What's the ultimate worst-case outcome there if institutions just wait?
Financial and sustainability. It's that simple. The worst-case scenario from declining enrollment and demographic shifts, especially when combined with that over-reliance on traditional tuition, is a loss of institutional autonomy. As the traditional revenue streams dry up, the institution enters a downward spiral. Cuts happens, quality might suffer, morale drops. Eventually, you lose control over your own cost structure, your own destiny. And that path leads to maybe forced mergers or ultimately closures.
So inaction isn't just inefficient.
It's potentially fatal. It's a direct route to losing control.
Okay, so avoiding those scenarios demands, as you said, radical honesty about the current as-is model. But we also see institutions sometimes taking a scattershot approach to innovation, a new online program here, a small cost cut there. Mm-hmm. How does the compass help ensure that the assessment and the innovation that follows is targeted and effective, not just random? Where should leaders even begin that diagnosis?
That's key. It has to be systematic, not piecemeal. The assessment needs to happen across three crucial organizational levels. Too often, institutions only look at the very top level, but the real vulnerabilities and the real opportunities for change often lie deeper within the operational structure.
So walk us through those three levels. Why are distinct assessments needed at each?
Sure. The first level is the university-wide, the macro strategy level, let's say. This is the presidential or board or cabinet perspective. It's where you look at the institution as a whole and ask the big picture questions about long-term sustainability and positioning.
Right.
Are we going to remain a comprehensive research university with all the costs and benefits that brings? Or does our future lie in pivoting toward being more teaching focused, or perhaps by reimagining ourselves as a lifelong learning hub?
Right.
At this level, it's less about operational tweaks and more about existential direction, the kind of choices that reshape identity and trajectory for decades to come.
That's the North Star setting the direction. Where does the execution start to happen?
Exactly. Once the North Star is set, the execution really begins at the college or school level, the mid-level.
Right.
Here, the focus shifts inward to strategy translation. Deans and their teams are managing resource allocation, balancing their budgets, and clarifying their college's unique value proposition within the larger university context. This is where questions like, what distinctive strength does this college brings? How do we align our programs and faculty resources to both serve the students and support the broader institutional strategy? This is where these kind of questions get answered. It's the level where vision starts to turn into tangible trade-offs and operational choices.
So the dean's perspective.
Exactly. For instance, the dean of business needs to figure out how to align their key activities, faculty expertise, and program offerings with rapidly changing industry demands. Maybe that means creating new interdisciplinary majors in business analytics or AI or maybe sustainability. It's where the macro strategy starts to meet operational management.
Right. Now, I imagine getting honest feedback gets tougher as you go deeper. What's the third level?
You are absolutely right. It does. The final level is the program level, micro innovation. This is the front line, the specific department, the degree track, the research center.
Where the students and faculty live day to day.
Precisely. The assessment here is highly localized. Are we attracting the right students to this specific program? Is the curriculum truly relevant?
Right.
How are we utilizing this group's unique expertise, for example? A business analytics department, for example, might need to assess adopting more of a workforce integrator approach, building very specific partnerships with local companies for internships and curriculum design. Every component needs to pull its weight.
So when leaders are doing this multi-level assessment, looking across the university, the college, the program, what are, say, the three absolutely non-negotiable components of that impact business model canvas they must scrutinize with real rigor?
Okay, so if I had to pick just three critical ones for this as-is diagnosis, so definitely I will start by the value proposition. You have to ask brutally and honestly, is the value that we claim to offer truly differentiating and compelling in today's crowded, noisy market?
Is it clear? Is it unique?
Yes, exactly. Second, I will pick revenue streams. How diversified are they? How vulnerable is our primary revenue stream, undergraduate tuition, for example? What other streams could be developed? Over-reliance is a massive risk diversification.
Right.
And third, I will pick the key activities. Are the core things that we do, like teaching, research, community engagement, truly aligned with the modern needs and stakeholder expectations? Are we agile enough in developing new programs in our teaching methods, or are we stuck in old ways? Honesty across these three components at all three organizational levels is the foundation for any effective change.
Okay, let's pivot from diagnosis to action. Let's take that challenge we discussed, declining enrollment and demographic shifts. It's hitting many regional institutions particularly hard. If a university identifies this as an acute pressure point through their assessment, what specific strategic pathways does the compass offer? How can they use those emerging models to fundamentally reconfigure their business model?
This is where the compass really shines, moving from problem to solution. If declining traditional enrollment, for example, is the main issue, the answer often lies in fundamentally redefining who your students are and how you deliver value to them. The compass points toward several powerful pathways.
Give us an example.
Okay, one major pathway is shifting towards an online-first lifelong learning model. This isn't just putting existing courses online, it's a strategic pivot.
How so?
It fundamentally reconfigures your stakeholder segments. You are now actively targeting working professionals, alumni needing upskilling, perhaps corporate partners for workforce training, for example, not just 18 years old students.
Right.
And that in turn allows you to create diversified, potentially continuous revenue streams. Think subscription, micro-credentials, just-in-time learning modules. It breaks the dependence on that traditional four-year campus-based tuition model.
So it changes the whole financial rhythm from these big episodic payments to something more continuous. What's another pathway?
Another powerful option is developing modular and stackable credentials. This directly redefines the core value proposition. Instead of the all-or-nothing multi-year degree commitment, you offer shorter, more flexible, often career-focused certificates or badges that can build upon each other, stack towards larger credentials, including degrees.
Lowering the barrier to entry.
Exactly. It creates new revenue streams, often based on per module or per certificate fees. This dramatically lowers the upfront financial risk and time commitment for the learner. It appeals directly to that segment of the market looking for rapid, targeted upskilling or reskilling without enrolling in 4 years.
That makes a lot of sense for today's economy. And you mentioned a third involving deeper economic integration.
Yes, the third pathway is leaning into becoming a workforce integrator. This requires a fundamental shift in defining your key partners. It means forming deep, strategic, often co-funded relationships directly with employers in your region or sector.
So industry becomes a core partner, not just an endpoint for graduates.
Precisely. Your key activities then shift significantly towards things like project-based learning designed with those partners, apprenticeships, co-op programs integrated into the curriculum. You are marketing the programs not just to students, but to a new stakeholder segments, the corporate partners themselves who are looking for a reliable talent pipeline.
And the value proposition becomes much more concrete.
Absolutely. The value proposition often includes things like guaranteed interviews, direct pathways to job placement, ensuring immediate workforce readiness tailored to specific industry needs. And all of these three pathways, the lifelong learning, modular credentials, a workforce integrator, offer concrete blueprints for changing the underlying institutional economics to move away from that declining enrollment path and create more long-term viable future for the institution.
This has been incredibly insightful. This deep dive into the higher education business model innovation compass really provides critical, practical tools for strategic leaders. To sort of bring it together, the central message seems to be that the compass isn't a magic bullet, not a prescriptive answer.
No, definitely not.
But it's a powerful strategic decision-making aid. It helps leaders weigh those complex trade-offs, chart a course that aligns with their unique mission, but keeps that sharp focus on long-term sustainability and impact.
That's exactly the intention. Strategic resilience, real resilience. It isn't found in just tweaking things around the edges. It requires systemic thinking, systemic realignment. Maybe I could leave the listeners with one final thought to consider, something to mull over. To truly build that long-term financial resilience, to really diversify beyond just tuition, universities have got to get much more proactive, much more systemic in reevaluating and potentially monetizing these underutilized key resources. Things like specialized lab space that sits empty nights and weekends, intellectual property developed by faculty that maybe isn't being commercialized effectively, even campus facilities, dorms in the summer, conference spaces. The question becomes, is every asset contributing optimally to the institution's overall fiscal health? Because ensuring that health is what frees up resources for future innovation and mission fulfillment.
It's a compelling challenge for every leader listening. Is your current portfolio of resources truly generating maximum value for the institution's future? A critical question indeed. For more insights, frameworks, and tools to rethink higher education business models, consult the full playbook by Dr. Ghazwan Hassna.